Welcome back, trainers. So we're going to be going over more of Gen 5 fighting type Pokemon. This is going to be a part 2, I suppose, to the one I did earlier. This time we're going to be going over the Swords of Justice legendary Pokemon, Terrakion, Cobalion, and Virizion. And there's also going to be a fourth one, Keldeo, which in fact is going to be a mythical Pokemon, aside from the legendaries that you see behind it. So we're going to go ahead and go over their stats to see if they're actually going to be pulling up as the #1 fighting type Pokemon in the game, seeing that Machamp has been holding that title for so long. Let's take a look and see what we have. Alright, so the first Swords of Justice legendary is going to be Cobalion here. Steel and fighting type, max CP 3009, attack 192. Unfortunately, with an attack stat like that, it's not going to be anywhere near the #1 fighting type Pokemon, even if it does have a whopping defense of 260, which is pretty nice for specific tasks, I suppose. It looks cool. At least it has that, right? Stamina 182. Weak to fighting, fire, and ground, resisting quite a bit because it's going to be a steel type Pokemon. We do not have its current moves, but honestly, even if it was to receive counter, dynamic punch, or any other fighting type move that it would be coming into Pokemon Go, outperforming possibly counter as well as dynamic punch, there's no way it could ever be the #1 with an attack stat like that. But on the other hand, we have Terrakion here. So this is going to be pretty good. So let's take a look. It's going to be a rock and fighting type. Used it in the main series games. Pretty good Pokemon for sure. Max CP 3468, attack 260, defense 192, and stamina 182. Its attack stat is going to be up there, so if it does receive a good moveset, then it will be very viable to be #1. As far as I'm concerned, even if it doesn't receive the best fighting type moveset, it's still going to be pretty good to have. Weak to fairy, fighting grass, ground, psychic, steel, and water, resisting quite a bit as well, so it does have a lot of weaknesses, unfortunately. Virizion, moving on to the last one, until we get into the mythical, which we will take a look at as well. It's going to be a grass and fighting type. Max CP 3009. It's going to be kind of like Virizion. It's not that great. Attack 192, defense 260, and stamina 182. It's going to be weak to fairy, fire, flying, pretty weak to flying because of the grass and fighting typing, ice, poison, and psychic. So there you have it for this one. Out of all three, Terrakion is going to be the one you want to focus on. The other two are going to kind of be like Suicunes. You don't really want to power them up. The Regis, I mean, sorry, not to discredit the Swords of Justice here, because they do look amazing. It's just their attacks are not that great unless you pull aside this specific one here, as well as the next one that we're going to be going over. And now we have Keldeo here, which is going to be a part of the Swords of Justice. So this is going to be a mythical, much like Mew, Celebi, Jirachi, all of those. So we're going to get it through the possible mythical breakthrough at GoFest first, and then later on for the rest of the people who did not go. And I do not know when Jirachi is going to be dropping for the rest of the public. This one's going to be a water and fighting type, max CP 3468, attack the same as Terrakion 260, looking great, defense 192, and stamina 182. Now this one right here just might become useful. I mean, Celebi has its use. Going up against fighting type Pokemon, it can, prove to be pretty good. Mew has many different moves, so you can switch it up, possibly trick your opponent, and you never know what it's going to have. And it can find some great usability going up against raids, as we've done, months ago when they were first released, maxed those out, and they were pretty good to some degree. There's going to be things that are going to outclass it, of course, but this one here just might prove to be a great fighting type Pokemon. As far as being the best water type, no, Kyogre is going to still definitely take that #1 spot for a long time, but this one here just might be a good fighting type. So let's compare them side by side with other Gen 5 Pokemon fighting types, as well as our current King Machamp. And here we have our final product as far as Gen 5, the best Gen 5 fighting type Pokemon, and then our current fighting king, which is going to be Machamp. So I think Gonkador is going to be outperforming it depending on the moves. We know it does have higher attack, since we did go over that in the last video. So Mimshao is going to be sitting at 258 attack, Machamp, current king, 234. And then we'll have Keldeo sitting at 260, as well as Terrakion with the exact same stats. One of them is just going to be a mythical, and then the other is going to be a legendary, in which when it does get introduced, the Terrakion, you will be able to get as many as you want. As far as the other one, you're only going to be able to have one of those. Alright, so Mimshao is looking nice. I think it's going to be a lot more accessible for people. Of course, when they do drop those into the raids, the Terrakions, you're going to be able to go to town. But that's, you know, for people who have lots of raid passes. I know a lot of us do that. But for some people out there, they just simply can't do that because, well, there's nobody in their area to raid, which I feel you on that, because when I went to Arizona, I went to a couple Kyogre raids and there was nobody there. I'm sure there's some sort of Discord or something like that, but, you know, for whatever certain circumstances, you can't do any legendary raids. You're also going to have Mimshao to back you up. So that's why Machamp is so good right now, is because you can get them simply through raiding them or catching Machops in the wild and possibly even hatching them. So there you have it. Now let's go ahead and go over the Swords of Justice movesets, specifically the two that we are looking at right here, to see if they're actually going to be learning anything good. Alright, so first up is going to be Keldeo, and we're going to be focusing on the fighting moves. Yes, it's going to be a dual typing of water, but Kyogre is going to outperform it. Simple as that. It may get great water moves on this one, but fighting is what we're going to stick to. So we have Double Kick, yet to be introduced into Pokemon Go. Could that be a new counter style? Because we were discussing that in the last video as well, which can come in and just take over that counter spot, because counter is such a great move. If you do not get it on your fighting type Pokemon, then it seems like it's going to fall behind even with a good attack stat. Then we have Double Kick, another potential for a fighting quick move here. Sacred Sword, which I'm more than likely is going to be a double charge move. As far as how much damage, maybe somewhere around the range of 100, 110. And then we have Close Combat, which has already been introduced into Pokemon Go. Then we have TM moves, Focus Blast. And then if we move down to the Move Tutor moves here, we have Low Kick and Secret Sword, as well as Superpower. Superpower, still yet to be introduced. Pretty sure it's going to be coming in around Gen 5, because a lot of Pokemon do have the potential to learn that, including a few of my favorite fighting types as well, which I'm very excited to see. We've been over those as well in previous videos in the past discussing other Gen 5 Pokemon. So this one right here, how does it look for it? Well, it has good moves. A lot of these have yet to be introduced, so we're just going to have to see how strong they're actually going to be when they put them into Pokemon Go. It is going to be a mythical, so you are only going to be able to get one of them. All right, now on to Terrakion. Now this one right here is going to be the one you're going to want to focus on. It's basically going to outperform everything else. Those other things can be great substitutes, like Mimshao. Conkeldurr could come in and take that spot from Machamp, and then Machamp is not going to be irrelevant. It's still going to be fairly good with just a decent amount of bulk as well as stamina. But this right here, this legendary fighting type Pokemon, is something that I personally been waiting to see for a long time. So we have Close Combat, Double Kick, which, like we said, has the potential to be a quick move, because I do believe it does not learn counter. Therefore, that could be a little troublesome for it, seeing it's going to have a hard time keeping up with the Pokemon that it can in fact learn counter, like Conkeldurr. Mimshao cannot as well. And then we see Rock Slide, so you have a bit of coverage there if you're doing like Master League or something like that. Sacred Sword, Close Combat. Let's move down here. Double Kick, I'm hoping that's going to be a new quick move. Focus Blast for the TMs. Then if we go all the way down here for the fighting type moves, it's going to be Superpower. So I think our only hope here, if we look, we have Superpower. That's the only one. As far as a fighting perspective, oof. I'm really hoping that's going to be a double charge move, kind of like an Outrage style. Otherwise, if it's a single charge move, it's not looking like it's going to be the best, possibly. Since its attack is so high, even though it cannot learn Dynamic Punch, it should be able to outperform Machamp because of that high attack stat. But it really depends on also the quick fighting move that it can learn as well. So let's hope that Double Kick does come in and kind of replaces counter, or at least is on par with it. Otherwise, it's not going to be looking so hot for it, because if you do not have a quick, good fighting move, then it's just not going to be viable as your number one sort of fighting type, even with that high attack. So put hope in that. Come on, Niantic, make Terrakion good, please. Double Kick, as well as a double charge move for Superpower, like around 110 damage, 100 each. Then we're going to be looking at a monster of a fighting type legendary. And with that said, trainers, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, and I will continue to bring you this kind of content. For now, let's go ahead and take a look at my current fighting Pokemon. Of course, this one is named Conkeldurr for when I was making my images for the thumbnail. There we go. All right, so we have quite a few of those because I like to do those challenges going up against the Dialga. Being the steel type, Machamps are just so good. And when we had that fighting event, got a couple of luckies here and as well as like level 32s, which it didn't take much to completely max them out. We have Heracross as well that I completely maxed out. Well, it needs a couple more power-ups and then it'll be looking great. Doesn't even have fighting moves. Then we have, of course, Blaziken, Lucario, which is fantastic. It's not going to be your best PvE. It's going to be more for PvP. Looking fantastic with counter, power-up punch, and then Shadow Ball. Power-up punch is okay going up against Rays, I suppose, but you're way better off using Dynamic Punch, a Machamp. Simple as that. And if you're wondering, well, how come you left out Breloom? It has great attack. It's, you know, it's pretty much, it's not on par with Machamp. See, it's very fragile. And the thing is, well, what about Mewshao? You did compare it to that, but Mewshao has more attack, therefore giving it more usability. And yes, it's going to be frail, but it's also going to be doing more damage before it faints, unlike Breloom here. Although Breloom is still fantastic, and if you did have a full team of these, you will be able to do massive damage, right? Counter Dynamic Punch being the best fighting type moveset currently in Pokemon Go. Hariyama, always nice, pretty tanky. If you did have one of these maxed out, they do find very good usability in PvE, going up against things that are going to be weak against fighting. And then we have Glade here, which is not going to be so great. It has a low kick, not good quick fighting move at all. Close combat is alright, but you know, we have other Pokemon that are going to be taking that spot with, of course, Dynamic Punch. Toxicroak, fantastic counter Dynamic Punch. Really like the design. Can't wait for that shiny to be introduced. And then as we go down the list here, it's going to kind of just teeter down. These are going to be more for PvP, especially Hitmonchan here. Did max this out. Look at how old it is, from back at Christmas 2016. I've been holding on to this one. Used it going up against those level 10 gyms, the good old times. And then it's just going to go down here. And then, of course, we have Metacham, which future, guys. I was really happy I powered this one up. We already know about all that. We don't need to get into that. And shinies and good old stuff there. So anyways, with that said, trainers, thank you for watching. And I will be catching you all on my next video. Take care.